Oh, hey, names.
All right, good evening, everyone. In the interest of everyone's time this evening, we are going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I want to thank the candidates for taking time and coming tonight. I do want to open with just saying tonight, listen with open ears and an open heart. Be kind to the audience, be kind to the candidates. We all have different views, and that's fine, but we are Milton, so be kind to your neighbors and respect them because they did take time out of their schedule to be here tonight. Another statement I need to make on my behalf of my organization is we are accepting questions in from the audience, but any questions that are submitted due to open investigations will not be asked. They will be thrown away, and that is for the best interest and the guidance of my attorney for my organization.
You got to remember, I am not bright enough to know what that means. So if you're a candidate and you feel it's part of litigation, just let us know, all right?
Same goes for the candidates. If a question does come up, if you go down a personal path and start attacking another individual, you will lose your turn. We'll move right on. I'll ring the little bell.
Let's just for my benefit again. If you cannot adhere to the idea that a debate that benefits all sticks to the issues, don't participate. Okay? You agree to that now if you're a candidate? If not, say no. Okay.
We do ask that you turn all your cell phones off to the respect of the candidates, like I just said. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We do not know what group is going first, so I do need a representative from each group to come on up. So one from Common Council, one from School Board, and one from Mayor. Please come to the front. The group with the highest card will go first. The second highest will go second. Lowest card will go third.
Pick a card in the card. I didn't want to bring that up. Yeah. Okay, sorry. All right.
I got volunteer.
I'll turn my microphone on later. Thank you. All right, so if you can hold your cards up. You guys need to draw again. We're up to 9, so.
Just say it.
Okay, hold them up. All right, School Board will go first. Common Council, Common Council goes first. School Board goes second. Mayor goes third. So if everyone from Common Council can come to the front, please. Up here by the microphone. Yep.
So, council.
Council's going first. Yep. I do want everyone to know that on behalf of Teresa Rush, she was planning on attending. Unfortunately, she does have a family emergency that occurred last night. She's unable to attend, and she wanted to send her sincere apologies for not being here this evening. When you guys answer the questions, you need to push the button down and speak into the microphone. When you're done, push the button off, please.
Now to the raise the bet. Good one.
So you do have a deck of cards in front of you, 7 cards. Do not look at them.
It's kind of like stud.
We're adding some fun tonight. So if you again can pick a card from your deck and hold it up for the audience, the highest card will go first.
Okay, we keep them up there because I gotta.
Alright, we'll be going from Larry, Devin, Bill.
Okay, you're assuming I know all their names.
Mary Lane, Devin, Elliott, Bill.
So, gentlemen, are we ready?
Yes.
All right. We're going to begin with a 2-minute opening statement, and Larry Lane, you're a queen.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate the chance to be up here tonight. My opening statement is simply I want to stay the course. I believe that the council and the current city staff and the mayor's office have been working diligently these last couple of years to solve a lot of issues in the community. We're not perfect. None of us are perfect, but we are good together as a team. I just want to point that out. We are able to ask each other critical questions and be critical of our own decision-making processes and come up with a good solution. So that said, I plan to just continue staying the course. I'm like the man in the ship who's got a rudder and the wind's blowing in the sail. And I don't exactly know which way I might go for a while, but I know where the goal is. And the goal is to be serving the community and in the best interest of the citizens of our community, the best I know how.
All right, thank you, Larry. Devin, you're next.
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to thank you all for having me here tonight. I don't really know where to start, I guess. I really am passionate about this community, and I really do want to see it strive and prosper how it is going. It is growing, and we're entering a renaissance period with local businesses and our historic preservation work, and I would like to see that going, and I believe my views and passions will see that forward. And I am completely open to ideas, and we are all in this community together, and I am not in this alone. I look forward to hearing from all of you to help me out in this new endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Bill Wilson, your 2-minute opening statement.
My name is Bill Wilson. Lived in Milton for about 20 years now. And reason I'm running for city council really is because I think I have something to offer to the city. And I also think that I've got a little more time than I used to have. The business that my wife and I were involved with took us out of town a lot for many, many years. We retired from that small business last year, and so I do have time availability that I didn't have before. The work that we did was with municipalities, with counties, primarily with governmental entities. And over the 30 years, roughly 30 years that we did that kind of work, we have had the opportunity to work in 46 states and be in lots and lots of different places. Milton's a great community, and we really appreciate what Milton has done for us, and it's kind of time to pay back with some of the efforts that I think that we can put into it.
All right, thank you for your opening statements. Candidates, apparently we draw a card again. So let's show your cards. What do you know? Larry Lane, a winner again. So the first question, and then we are going to go left to right, starting with Larry, of course. Larry, why are you running for the Common Council? And what have you witnessed over the last 2 to 3 years you would like to change? Why are you running for the Common Council? And what have you witnessed over the last 2 or 3 years that you would like to change?
Why am I running? The main reason I would say is to serve other people. My profession is a counselor, so in my professional work, I'm at service to my patients and trying to help them make changes in their life or move forward in their life in a different way. So I'm serving on Common Council because that gives me the opportunity to do the same for the community as a whole. So that'd be my answer to that. Now, help me again, Stan, please, with the second part of that question.
So what have you witnessed over the last 2 to 3 years you would like to change?
Okay. Change. Adjust. Maybe that's what the word I would use. Change kind of puts people in a uncomfortable mode sometimes. I think that we need to make some adjustments in our community. One of the things I'd like to adjust is continuing on our course to get our debt managed. We're doing a tremendous job. I hope everybody in the community understands that our city staff has worked tirelessly for that. I also think that fire protection is important to me. I want the best possible EMS and fire protection that we can have as a community. and I want it to be developed in the most cost-effective manner possible. Those are two issues that are really important to me, I think.
All right, thank you, Larry. Devin, why are you running for council? And what have you witnessed over the last 2 to 3 years that you would like to change?
I am running for council to continue making this community a great place for all of us to live. I believe that we've done so much in the past with every sort of improvement to our infrastructure, our historic preservation, keeping our roots tight to our community. And I'd like to continue that because I want everyone here to be as proud as I am to live in this community. Like I said earlier, we are entering into the Renaissance period of with our local business and with historical infrastructure and to put our name back to where it should be, to bringing in new families, new residents of the town, and helping them be as proud as we are of our community. And I do believe there are a lot of adjustments, as Larry said, that need to be made, and I hope to work with you all to make those adjustments.
Thank you, Devin. And Bill, why are you running for council, and what have you seen over the last 2 or 3 years you would like to change?
I think the reason I'm running for council is to try to make sure that the taxpayer gets value for every dollar that's spent. I think it's important that dollars be spent, and Milton has done very well. Our community infrastructure is great at this point. We're sitting in a beautiful city hall. We've got a police station that is terrific. The public works facility is a good facility. The library now is top notch. We've got some very, very good things. So spending money wisely is important, but there's got to be value there that comes to the taxpayer. And so making sure that every dollar spent is being spent in a way that does offer that value. In terms of things that I wish were different, they probably have to do with the controversy, if you want to call it that, that's taken place regarding the fire station. That's an issue that's been unresolved for a long time. And it's a difficult one because it's intergovernmental in nature. There are lots of moving parts to that issue. But we really need to set a course and say, this is where we want to get to, and figure out within the next couple of years when and how we're going to get to the point where we do have that excellent fire protection.
Thank you, Bill. Candidates, show your cards. I feel like I'm doing deal or no deal. Bill goes first. It's actually, this is one of the good times. Last is the best. So, all right, Bill. Fire, you brought it up. Fire protection has been a continuing topic in the city and surrounding area. What are your views on the issue?
I think that we definitely do need to be a partner. And I think the partnership that's been created with both the city of Janesville and with the town of Milton is probably the right thing to do. Fire protection is probably, getting back to the value idea, better to be done as a group. So we gain from that framework. I think long term, as we look at where the population is, we do need to figure out how that fire protection comes from both sides of the railroad tracks, for example. And some of the discussions that have taken place about Janesville having a fire station that would be somewhere off of John Paul Road, I think is a very intriguing idea. I don't know enough about the issue to say, here's exactly where we need to go. What I do know is that we're beyond the point where we can just kind of churn and keep on talking about that issue. We really need to come to some resolution.
Thank you, Bill. Larry, Fire protection's been a continuing topic in the city and surrounding area. What are your views on the issue?
Couple things I'd like to say first. Number one, we have a dedicated department. We've shown that in the last couple of years, dedication in terms of looking at themselves, their procedures, how to best to get to a fire, how to handle fires. Operating procedures have been updated. They're a dedicated group of people. And we've been blessed to have a really good history of chiefs who've been dedicated to the department. That's an asset to the community. I think we have a lot of people who are interested in providing the best service possible. I think the real issue comes down to how to go about doing that. And the thing that I think is starting to happen is we're starting to put together all these pieces of information and looking at costs, looking at location, looking at partnerships. And one thing we have to remember is the town of Milton and City of Milton Fire Department serves other townships as well. We have contracts with other townships surrounding us. And the real issue is getting there on time, having enough staff and having the right locations for your department so you can get there to save people's lives and keep property from being burnt to the ground. That's really the issues. So, thank you.
Thank you, Larry and Devin. Fire protection, what are your views?
I believe we have a very dedicated service staff when it comes to the fire department and EMS services, and I would like to thank them all for their service. And obviously it has been a hot button issue in the past years, and I believe that action needs to be taken sooner than later. Costs in the future are just going to rise when we're talking about new infrastructure and new services, so I believe it's something that needs action sooner than later. And I want to give them all my credit for what they do, but I believe for what they do, they deserve more from our community.
Thank you, Devin. Okay, who goes next?
Larry.
Yeah. It's, yeah, you may want one on this question. In regard to recent news stories, those visiting Milton, friends, acquaintances, those considering Milton as a place to live or locate their business may ask, what's going on in Milton? As an elected representative to the city, how would you answer this question?
Growing pains. I'm a businessman, and in my training, in my master's degree, my professors often talked about the growth curve of an organization, a community, an individual. And we're in growing pain stage. We've come a long way. We have a lot of wonderful resources, a lot of caring individuals living in our community. We're trying to have good infrastructure, keep our roads safe, keep our children safe. And part of that growing pains is having to look at services critically. Look at what you're providing now and what can you do better and what can you change to improve to keep up with the times. We're having all kinds of development now going on, business development, wonderful. We're having all kinds of residential development, wonderful. But again, with growth comes demand for services. And that's the tricky part. So I think that's what's going on in Milton is we're growing as a community, but we're trying to grow in a good, positive way. And I appreciate and dedicate myself to continuing to do that. So.
Thank you, Larry. Devin, in regard to recent news stories, those visiting Milton, friends, acquaintances, those considering Milton as a place to live or locate their business may ask what's going on in Milton. As an elected representative of this city, how would you answer the question?
I would first urge them to definitely do their research. We are a fabulous community to live in, and like Larry said, nothing good happens without some hiccups along the way. We are a strong community at its base, and we can work through anything, as we've done many times in the past. And I would along with that research, I would just urge them to keep a positive outlook, because this city is a wonderful place to live, stay, visit, anything to that extent. So thank you.
Thank you, Devin and Bill. What's going on in Milton?
If the question was asked to me and I was in Janesville or someplace else, I think my first response would be, let's drive out to Milton and let me show you what's going on in Milton. And we'd start to visit some of the things that are here and demonstrate by showing that some very, very positive things are happening, all the way from economic development to having a library that's a destination, to having growing businesses. So I demonstrate that all of those good things are happening. To the extent that their question is probably being triggered by the fact that there have been some controversies that have been pretty personal in nature, I'd kind of say that really is a negative kind of a thing that happens in communities. And I think the advice that Stan gave early on, in terms of sort of removing the personal and concentrating on really the issues and the topics and the policies, is where we really need to get.
You know, if I was asked a question, I would have said, well, there is a great 4th of July parade. There's a wonderful Easter egg hunt. Love the fireworks, chicken barbecue. All right, let's draw some cards.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wait, are we playing poker or cribbage? I want to know, is ace high or low? Is ace high or low?
It's high.
Oh, Larry,
It's high.
I am so sorry, Larry.
Well, we could make it both.
Yeah, because Bill's been winning each of these hands, you realize. All right, Larry, you get to go first again. What a way to be a leader. Thank you. All right, should the Common Council endorse the school district referendum? That's right. Should the Common Council endorse the school district referendum? Of course, why or why not?
Well, my approach is, I'll go from my approach, because that's the only answer I can give you. I can't speak for other people. I'm on the fence on that issue, but I lean towards not being involved in it. And the reason for that is, I just feel like it's bigger than the city of Milton, I guess is the best way for me to explain it. I represent the city of Milton. I don't represent the entire school district. And I feel a little awkward and uncomfortable voting for the entire district when I don't represent them, if that makes sense. And that's kind of my take on it. So it doesn't mean I don't have an opinion. I do have an opinion, but I don't feel it's appropriate for me as a city councilman to express that opinion in a voting format. I guess that's the best way for me to explain it.
Thank you, Larry. Devin, should the Common Council endorse the school district referendum? Why or why not?
I'm going to get a little personal with this. I graduated from Milton High School 5 years ago this year. I support the referendum. I will say that right away. I do believe that the future of this community, being the children, deserve that investment to continue and give them the greatest amount of education that they can receive, because that's what the future deserves. Thank you.
Finally, Bill, should the Common Council endorse the school district referendum? Why or why not?
I think there's a difference that needs to be drawn between supporting and endorsing. I guess I would be hesitant to have the city council endorse the referendum. By the same token, I think that there are some things that say that there are some good things that happen to the city if, in fact, the referendum is approved. That there is a spin-off that covers some areas that the city really is responsible for. Things like economic development. Having those kind of magnet sorts of institutions in our community is really important in drawing the businesses and the industries and the commerce that we need to keep our tax base healthy. My wife and I have worked in communities that are property tax poor, places that have said, you know, we really want to be a residential community. We don't want businesses and industry and so on. It really doesn't work. The businesses and industries are what keep our tax rates affordable. And consequently, those perhaps peripheral things in some ways, like better school facilities, do feed into that portion. So I'd say support, but I probably would not say the City Council should endorse.
All right, thank you, Bill. Next question. Guys are getting good.
Want to trade cards?
Oh my goodness.
So, Larry, I am planning a trip to Vegas later this year.
We'll go when we leave.
All right. So, Larry, what is your experience in coordinated collaboration with multiple organizations or entities? What's your experience in collaborating with multiple organizations or entities all at the same time?
I have quite a bit, I guess, from the volunteer side especially. I was a founding person who helped set up Habitat for Humanity in the Fox Cities. My wife and I were one of the founding members of that organization. And we had to collaborate immediately with all the builders in the Fox Cities, all the churches in the Fox Cities, the building inspection departments in the Fox Cities, realtors. So I had quite a bit of experience negotiating, working to come to the good solutions that we needed in order to get that done. I also, in my business background, did a lot of collaboration effort. I worked for Aid Association for Lutherans for 17 years, and I traveled around the country partnering volunteers and community leaders to get projects done in the community. Anything from building a house for a homeless person to cleaning up the streets to planting trees. So I'm used to collaboration. That's my nature. My nature is always to think, who can I partner with to get this done? Because I'm not perfect and I can't get everything done myself.
Thank you, Larry. Devin, what is your experience in collaborating with multiple organizations or entities all at the same time?
I do sit on the Historic Preservation Commission currently, so we obviously do a lot of collaboration with that in event planning and working with local businesses and to kind of put our word out there. Teamwork is very important to me. I never wish to take on everything by myself all at once, and I love having multiple views on things to really get the job done. So teamwork is very important to me, and that's kind of what I base my plan of attack on when looking at an issue.
Bill, what is your experience in collaborating with multiple organizations or entities at the same time?
I guess the one that I'd point to is the fairly recent example of I've served as the president of the library board for quite a number of years, and the whole effort with the library board was a matter of trying to create a difference in the community by bringing everybody together. And from the point that we started working on that building project, the idea was how do we include virtually everyone? And that virtually everyone ended up getting us about $2 million in dollars raised for a $3 million facility. It was businesses, it was individuals, it was nonprofit organizations in their own ways, and we set up collaboration with everything from Future Farmers of America chapter in town here to individual businesses. And that whole thing came together because I think the spirit of the entire project was the idea of how do we make this something for everyone. We have so much to offer in this community that really is for everyone. If you can't find something to do in this town, you haven't looked hard enough, because there's something virtually every evening where you can interact. Just one quote that comes from something called the Harwood Institute, a group that we had worked with. They say that quality communities have an abundance of social gatherings. This is a group that works with communities across the country. And as they've looked at things, the places that people want to live are where there are opportunities for people to get together and interact. That's the kind of collaboration that we want, just not organizations, but individual people.
All right, thank you, Bill. That is the end of the scripted questions. Time for a 2-minute closing statement. We're drawing cards again. We're drawing cards again. I'm hoping you win, Devin.
Oh my gosh.
So, there's a little thing called shuffling.
Cam, you saw me shuffle, did you not?
All right, Larry, your 2-minute closing statement.
Unity, I'm a big believer in that, and I believe that that's one of the cores that the council has worked hard on this last couple of years, and that we want to continue to do that. I want to continue to do that. My main issues again are coming to some sound, helpful, useful solution to fire protection in the community and the surrounding areas. Continuing our fiscal responsibility to the community. We're working real hard to get the debt down and still have a balanced budget. And sometimes that hurts. I understand that. We can't meet everyone's needs or meet all the needs of the community, but we do our very best. The third thing is collaboration. I think we work at that. We're always talking on council and with city staff. How can we collaborate with this group or that group to make this more effective, make this particular project more beneficial to people? So I want to keep focused on that. And I guess honesty. I'm a straight shooter. If you have something to say, please bring it to me and we'll talk about it. I never promise what I can't deliver, and I never deliver on things that I haven't promised. So thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Devin, your 2-minute closing statement.
I would like to thank everyone again for having me here. I really just want to make our community the best it can be. I am so proud to live here and have lived here all my life and have roots that started the community, and I want to continue that and see us prosper, and I want to help the council stay as transparent as possible and work with all the community members, not just between council members, but to really include the community to help make the community a better place, and really touch on the issues that all of the community members have, and really collaborate into an effort to make this community as great as it can be.
Thank you, Devin. Bill.
I'd also like to compliment city staff. We've got incredibly talented people who have been working on taking care and stewardship of our money in Milton. We have the lowest municipal tax rate in Rock County. That's something special, given the fact that we've got good roads, that we've got good facilities, that we've got good services. Department of Public Works, boy, those streets are great considering the kind of ice that we've got. I mean, department by department, whether it's the EMTs or whether it's Department of Public Works, whether it's our library staff, City Hall staff, we've got fine people. So kind of continuing, as Larry mentioned, I think is important. We do need to continue down the path of trying to grow. We need that economic development engine to be there so that we can continue those services and continue to afford those services while continuing to have our tax rates be at manageable kinds of levels. That means commerce, that means industry, that means growth in our industrial park. And I think we're positioned very well to do that, and we need to continue down that path.
Thank you, Bill, and I want to thank all the candidates for the courage of their commitment. We appreciate it. I know as a resident, do, and I'm sure everybody else does.
We had no questions from the audience for common council, so we're good.
So we're good. We'll take a short break. Now would be the appropriate time to applaud these fine candidates.
Anybody want Larry's cards?
I wanted to know if I could keep my car. Yeah.
Yep, you gotta push it down, and you don't need to hold it though. When you're done, you just push it to turn it off.
Well, good evening. Welcome to the Milton Area Chamber of Commerce School Board Candidates Forum. Welcome, candidates. We'll begin with a 2-minute opening statement. Draw your cards. Oh!
Hot seat right there.
All right. And again, starting is not your favorite place to be, but Rick Mullen, congratulations. May we have your 2-minute opening statement.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. My name's Rick Mullen. This is the first time I've run for school board. I was born and raised in Milton, the son of a nurse and an auto worker, the youngest of 7 kids who all went through the Milton school system. I'm a proud graduate of MHS, class of 92. After that, I got my degree in pharmacy from UW-Madison, and I've worked for Mercy Health System ever since. I married my high school sweetheart, and we've, except for a few years after high school, we've lived in the Milton area ever since. I believe in the long-term quality of the Milton school system, and I also believe that a good school system is important for everyone who lives in the community, not just the kids who are currently going to that school. I have experience working with large organizations, managing people, managing projects, working together to reach common goals and solving problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Rick Hale, your 2-minute opening statement.
Hello, my name is Rick Hale. Thank you for all coming tonight. I'm married to my beautiful wife with 5 children in the school district. 13 years from now, with any luck, we'll get the last one graduated through Milton. I'm VP of Operations for a precision machining company in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, so I understand hard work. We also have lots of collaboration meetings. We deal with lots and lots of people to get resolved problems in a collaborative way. I believe that I can serve on this board and be open-minded, get everyone's opinions, recognize those opinions, and come to one common goal.
Thank you, Rick. And now Mike Pierce, your 2-minute opening statement.
I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for having us tonight and everybody for coming out. My name is Mike Pierce. I was a veteran of the Milton School Board, and then I took a 6-year sabbatical. Unlike Bill Wilson, he said he's lived in Milton for 20 years. I've lived in Milton for 1 day. But I've been in the Milton area for 62 years, so I'll clarify that. So anyhow, I'm married to Mary Pierce, and I have 5 children, and we have the 12th grandchildren on the way. 4 of them graduated from Milton, and that was the highlight of being on school board, is giving your children a diploma. I think expulsions is kind of on the low end, kind of the opposite realm, So anyhow, yeah, I own and operated Pierce Farms. I've just retired the 1st of January, and so I've been a farmer, but I've also involved in the community in the Milton House. I'm on the Milton House board and the Chamber board, and sometimes you get a little conflicts between the two, but anyhow, that's all we say.
Thank you, Mike. Harvey Smith, 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Harvey Smith, and again want to thank the Chamber for having us here tonight, and for the people that are here listening to our views, and in order to make an informed decision come April. Just a little bit about myself. My wife and I have lived in Milton for going on 27 years now. Come April, we'll have been married for 50 years, and our 3 adult children have all gone through the Milton School District and graduated. I currently have a grandchild in Milton Schools in the 8th grade. I've had a lot of experience working with other people. I started off out of college as a youth counselor, working with youth who were sent to the Rock County Youth Home facility, and we had to counsel the people that were placed there by the court system. We had to talk with each other's staff members and so forth to come up with a plan for getting those children back home and getting them into a successful position. After that, I went on to a career in the post office. Ended my career there as a postmaster, again working with the community, with my own employees, in solving issues that would come before us, either from the community or in terms of determining how to make our system more efficient. And I ended my career working as a supervisor of carpenters for a remodeling company, and again having to work between carpenters and customers to get the job done, and not only get the job done but have everybody be satisfied when the job was done. So that's pretty much my...
All right, thank you for your 2-minute opening statements. We'll begin with questioning as soon as we find out who starts. Well, good for you, Rick. All right, Mike Pierce gets to begin. Question number 1. None of these are going to be easy. So, Mike, what do you feel will be the most challenging responsibilities Milton School Board members face over the next 3 years? What are the most challenging responsibilities Milton School Board members will face in the next 3 years?
Oh, probably financial situations. I know we have a referendum coming up in a few years for operations, which we need the money for operations, and also our facility needs, which we have a referendum now. If that doesn't pass, which I'm hoping it will, I do support the referendum. And if that doesn't, so I do think that that's a big challenge in the future.
All right. We move on to Harvey Smith. What do you feel will be the most challenging responsibilities Milton School Board members face over the next 3 years?
Well, the most immediate problem, of course, is getting the referendum to the community and hopefully getting it passed. And secondly, I think that we have to be looking ahead to what is going to be education in the future. I think it's going to expand beyond mere brick and mortar. Certainly the brick and mortar that we currently have needs to be addressed. But in the future, we see other communities that are coming up with virtual schools. We're looking at a program that just started recently in the high school that where kids are actually taking advantage of being able to work in a college setting. I think we're going to find more of that going forward in terms of the trade systems, electrical and that type of thing, being where they don't necessarily have to be on campus to get that type of education. So I think we need to look ahead and know how education is going to change in the future and be prepared to transition that in.
McMullen, what do you think the most challenging responsibilities Milton School members will face in the next 3 years?
Well, I think obviously the biggest one is going to be the facilities, and I think I'm hoping the referendum will pass and that we can get that taken care of. I'm also worried about the divisiveness that I see in the community and the board. I wish more time and energy was spent worrying about the things we have in common and how to fix those things. Also, I'm a little worried about our reputation. It's taken a hit. That will make it harder to attract and retain good teachers. Without good teachers, the school district will suffer. So I think that also is very important.
Finally, Rick Ale, most challenging responsibilities facing the school board over the next 3 years.
Well, certainly I agree with the gentleman up here that the referendum is definitely one of our challenges. If the referendum doesn't pass, we still have an overcrowding in the schools that we need to address. Whether that referendum passes or not, it certainly will satisfy some of our needs. But the current schools that are there are still outdated and still need some upkeep. Where that money is going to come from is certainly going to be a challenge, because the referendum money is not to upkeep some of the facilities we currently have. I think we need to look into that into the future as well. I think part of the other side of this, to Mike's point, is we have operational expenses that keep climbing, and we need to figure out where that money is going to come from, along with, if the referendum does pass, where the operational money is going to come from to run those facilities as well. I also think part of the issues coming up very quickly is vaping and juuling for these teenagers in these schools. I don't think a lot of people realize how bad this is and how fast it is growing, and we need to get a grip on how to control this within our community. It is growing very, very rapidly. Thank you.
All right, thank you. On to the second question and a draw of cards.
Oh, there's a tie. You get to choose, I told you. Except there's a tie, you choose.
All right, Mike, you're a winner. I'm just always going to go to the person on the left who has the same or higher cards. So, question number 2, and we begin with Mike Pierce. Describe your view of the ideal relationship between the school district, City of Milton, other governing bodies such as town boards, and the Milton Area Chamber of Commerce. Your ideal relationship between the district and these municipalities.
Well, I think everybody needs to work together. We're all kind of on the same boat. You know, I always figure we're kind of a ship. If the ship sinks, it's not going to help anybody. So we need to all get together. And I know with being on the chamber board, I got to kind of weigh out. But as a school board member, I think a lot of the things they've done together, they raised some money for books this last year together and nobody seemed to have too much of a problem with that. So I think if we do projects like that, and the city of Milton, we need to have a good relationship with them, and I believe we do. Al really helps us out if anything we need to do or anything. We always talk to Al, and I guess that's about all I have on that.
I'm going to keep a little tally how many times people mention Al Hewlett tonight, just so you guys know.
He gives me $1.
Harvey Smith, describe your view of the ideal relationship between the school district, city, other governing bodies like town boards, and the Milton Area Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I think the community of Milton, being the size it is, unlike if we were talking about living in Janesville or Madison or some other place, I think you can't talk about really one without talking about the other municipal entities, because they're all intertwined. They're all important for the success of each other, and so therefore I think there has to be communication between those entities. There has to be cooperation, and where there's an opportunity to work together on whether it's a particular project or a long-term goal, I think it's in the best interest of the entire community for that to happen, because as I mentioned, it's a small community and we're all intertwined.
Thank you, Harvey. Rick, describe your view of the ideal relationship between the school, municipalities, and the Milton Area Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I touched on this a little bit earlier when I said I think we need to concentrate more on the things we have in common. I think intergovernmental cooperation is the wave of the future. It concerns me a little bit that the City of Milton people aren't going to endorse the referendum, because I know that the city touts all of the great things about the school district when they're selling this city to businesses and people who want to move here. So that concerns me a little bit. But I have liked some of the things that have gone on in the past, like the early learners program that the chamber, the library, and the school district all did together to get books out to young parents in the community. And I think that's an example of one thing that maybe we could do something like that in the future.
And Rick.
Well, I certainly think that they've all had a great relationship up to this point. Certainly would think it would continue. but working together as a team, as a collaborative team to come up with one common goal. It doesn't matter what organizations do that, but I think as long as we work together and we trust each other, we're kind to each other, I think that we can accomplish great things. I don't agree that our reputation has been damaged. I'm out in the community talking to a lot of people, and we are Milton truly is what that means. Together we are Milton.
Thank you, Rick. Moving on to question 3. This will be a fun one, by the way. Let's see who gets to start. Oh, it's going to be Rick. All right, Rick Ale. You just touched on this. Some would say the Milton School Board is broken or unable to function. What are your specific plans to overcome this challenge and become the community we need and want to be?
Well, at my job, we have pillars of that we live by. One of those pillars is respect. And I think we all have to have that respect for one another, whether it's on the same board, whether it's in the same community, in the same family, or even in one organization. I think we can share our thoughts. I think we can listen to others, take their views into account, and still come up with one common goal, still come up with one common view, while having the respect for each other to listen and not be disrespectful to each other while still accomplishing that goal.
Thank you, Rick. Mike, some would say the Milton School Board is broken, unable to function. What are your specific plans to overcome this challenge and become the community we need and want to be?
I don't think it's broken. 90% of what our functioning works very well. Once in a while, a few people get in a little spat. I guess I try not to do that. I know Peg Ekdahl will probably get mad at me, but I'll talk about Peg Ekdahl for a minute. When she used to say, when we disagree, but don't be disagreeable, and you don't agree with everybody all the time, but you don't have to be disagreeable about it. So you always just try and respect other people and see what they have to say, and I just think there needs to be more of that and more respect. But there's an awful lot of what the Milton School District does is excellent. I know if we have a hiccup or something, the media and everything jumps on it, but when things are going good, they don't say a whole lot. But I do think Milton Schools has a lot good going on for the school board. So.
All right. Thank you much. Harvey, your thoughts about the Milton School Board and what specific plans you may have to overcome some of those challenges.
All right. Well, if you were here last year when I ran, there were a number of candidates who were running for change on the school board because they felt there was a severe problem with the school board. It's not perfect yet, but I would like to give kind of a shout out to the board because I've been very impressed with the changes that were made in their collaboration and working through this referendum issue. Nobody got everything they wanted, but it required compromise, and they were willing to compromise. So I think they've taken a big step in some of the criticisms that we had last year, and I just wanted to commend them on that issue. As far as other things I think that still can be done, one of my concerns has been that I think there are too many closed session meetings, which are supposed to be a rare occurrence. And whether they're, I think it sends a message to the community that there's something going on that they don't want the community to be aware of. And that's not necessarily true, but it's a perception. And so a closed session should be used on rare occasions. That would be one thing I'd like to see changed. The other thing that I think needs to happen in talking about respect is that when somebody makes a motion, just out of respect, that motion should get a second. That doesn't mean you support it, doesn't mean you're going to vote for it, but it gives it an opportunity for full discussion so that you can make the best decisions. So those are a couple areas where I think improvement can be made, but I think they've come a long way.
And Rick, your thoughts about overcoming those challenges?
I also do not believe the school board's broken. There are issues going on. We'll get past this. We will get past this. I also think it's important for the board to remember it's about the kids. It's about educating kids and improving student outcomes. I believe I'm in a unique situation because I have prior relationships and friendships with various people on the board that I think I could work together with, that maybe some other people wouldn't be able to. And I think that's why I'd be an asset to the board.
Thank you, Rick. Well, let's draw. All right, Mike. All right, this is sort of a two-part question. I believe you've already all said that at least you've implied you support the referendum. So first of all, do you support the $59.9 million proposed referendum? And since I believe you've already said that, how do you get the community behind the referendum? So, do you support it? And how do you get the community behind the referendum, Mike?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do support the referendum. I don't believe it's 100% perfect, but I think it addresses an awful lot of needs that we have. How do you get the people behind it? I think the one thing that's hard is people voted no on the high school, and then so you're going to have to get people that voted no to vote for 59 million. That could be hard, but I think you just have to sell Milton schools, and they've been good over the years. And I think back when you think about these referendums going through and not going through, and I think of North Side. If that wouldn't have gone through, it didn't go through the first time. It went through the second time, but there's 800 children there now. And what if Harmony wouldn't have passed? What if the different ones on the high school didn't pass? We would not be where we are today. So I do think we need to encourage people to get out and vote and get their neighbors to vote and see if we can't get it across the finish line this time.
Thank you, Mike Harvey. Again, if you support the referendum. And how do you get the public behind it?
Okay, overall I support the referendum. I'm pleased that they've gone in the direction they have, because we have 7 buildings that will be touched by this referendum, so we're really getting a good bang for the buck, I think. As far as getting the community to support it, I think they're coming up with some different ideas. They're holding some open houses, but of course there are people that aren't going to attend the open houses. I think the best way to do it is to actually inform the people as to, we have a general idea. We have 59.9 million that we're asking for. We have some architect renderings of what that may look like, but that's not the final vision of what it will be. I think we have to convince the people that if you're giving us 59.9 million, this is where it's going to be spent. This is what you're going to get for it, not just a general figure, and we hope everything turns out as we were told it will be. So I think the community has to really be informed as to what you're spending those dollars for, and that yes, indeed, you're going to get a STEM section. Yes, indeed, you're going to get additions to all of the elementary schools. You're going to get additions to the middle school. This is what it will look like. This is how it will help the students that are currently in those schools and the students that will be coming through those schools afterwards.
Thank you, Harvey. Rick, do you support it, and how do you get the public behind it?
Yes, I'm 100% behind this referendum. I was also behind the past ones. A common theme that I heard from a lot of different people after the last failed referendum was they want to make sure the money goes to things like safety, security, and accessibility. There it is, right there. 6 of the buildings will have updates in regards to those issues. I think it's also important to remind people, or maybe just make them aware of in the first place, up to about 16 or 17% of the money that we will borrow, we'll get back in state aid every year. In these past years when we don't borrow money and make improvements, all that money that we paid Madison for the taxes, it goes out to these other districts that are making improvements. I think it's time we start paying ourselves back for once.
Thank you, Rick. Rick.
I am for the $59.9 million referendum. I think for that price to touch all of the schools but one is a pretty fair deal. Again, it is not the Taj Mahal. It is not something that will be awe-inspiring, but it certainly will take care of our needs. I think the three things that people look for that to support this is transparency, clarity, and most importantly, honesty. I think if we give those to all the community members to say exactly where every single dollar is spent, I think they will back it. I don't think that people certainly do understand our needs. They understand the overcrowding. They understand the aging facilities. However, they want to know where every dollar is spent, and they have that right to know. We also need to know what the operational costs are going to be. Is that included in the $59.9 million? Is it something that we're going to have a second referendum to pass? Is it something that's going to be asked for at a later date? I think those are clarity that people need in this community in order to vote yes. We also know that we're going to be adding on to every single school, and our janitors are already taxed. So are we going to hire more janitors to take care of these schools? Where is that money going to come from? And what other services are going to have to be increased, and what is the cost of those services? When all of those questions can be answered, I think the community will be behind it. But until it can be answered 100%, I think there's still going to be questions in people's minds.
Thank you, Rick. We've siphoned in a couple of questions from the audience. We're going to add another one now. We're only going to give you 1 minute to answer. Okay? Oh, yeah, draw your cards. Hey, it's almost as straight. All right, Rick Mullen. So basically, what are you most proud of in the school district?
I'm most proud of our kids, our teachers, and the way that those teachers work to prepare our kids for life after school. It's not that hard to look around and you can see all the great things going on in our school district. It makes me proud to be a graduate, makes me proud to have my kids at that school, and I look forward to having the chance to serve on that board.
Raquel, what are you most proud of the school district?
I'm most proud of the teachers and the education. My wife and I lived in Clinton, Wisconsin, open enrolled our kids in this community, in the school district, and traveled for 1 year for them to try out the schools and the teachers and the education. It was not the facilities that got us here. It was not the McDonald's or any other thing that got us here. It was the teachers. After 1 year of trying out the education, we fell in love with it. The teachers proved us. We then sold our house and moved here to follow the education of this district. That should be something that everyone here should be very, very proud of.
Mike, what are you most proud of in the district?
Well, I think our staff is second to none, and the teachers, they have, when you look at Consolidated School being the top school second year in a row, and it's just the teachers out there, and they've done excellent, and I think all the way through our education system, we have excellent teachers, and so I'd say the teachers are probably the most important.
Harvey?
Well, it looks like the teachers have it.
Yeah.
I think we were living in Janesville 26 years ago and brought our kids here for the school system. And we're glad that they all got a chance to graduate through the school system. So I would echo the thought of everybody else that indeed it's the teachers that have made such a difference here, regardless of buildings, regardless of policies, regardless of shortage of money sometimes. They've done a great job, and it shows with the reputation that we have where people are looking to transfer into the district or move into the district. I think that's very credit to the teachers that we have.
All right, next round of questioning. Down to our last two draws. All right, Rick.
Aces high? Seriously?
So, Raquel, how do you personally build trust in times of adversity and controversy?
Again, I think building trust is to use transparency, clarity, and honesty. I think anyone who has children understand that the number one thing you teach your children is honesty, right? Kindness, honesty, and truthfulness. I don't know where that gets lost somewhere when we get to be adults, but I think if we carry that through to our adulthood and we treat everybody with kindness, hold back our dagger comments, and treat everybody the same and equally and respectfully, I think we can get great things out of everyone.
All right, Mike Pierce, how do you personally build trust in times of adversity and controversy?
Well, I think you just keep doing trustworthy things and people will start to trust you. And it just takes time sometimes, but you just want to always try to do what is right. And people will see that and they will respect that.
Thank you, Mike. Harvey,
Yes.
how do you personally build trust in times of adversity and controversy?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to continue to listen to the people that elected you to the position, so that they know that their voice is being heard. Doesn't mean that you're always going to agree with what they have to say, but they want to know that their viewpoint is important to you. And I think trust starts with listening to other people, listening to their point of view. And to echo Rick's sentiment is for transparency. Again, going back to what I said about having too many closed meetings or speaking behind closed doors or whatever the case may be. The more transparent you can be, the more you can listen to the people that elected you to the position, I think the more trust they're going to have in you.
Finally, Rick, how do you build trust in times of adversity and controversy?
I believe you build trust day in and day out by treating others as you would like to be treated, so that when times of controversy come about, they will indeed trust you. Treating people with decency and respect every day, so then when the hard times come, people know that they can count on you and trust you.
All right, one last question before our closing statements.
I'm on the cards. Cut the deck. Yeah.
Well, then I guess you lose, Mike.
Yeah. I'll shuffle a little bit and pull up another one. Ooh, other side.
Well, since we had Mike go first last time, we'll have Rick go first this time. So, Rick Mullen, define what it means to be a servant leader, and how do you model that for others?
I believe being a servant leader means that you have an open mind, a willingness to listen, a willingness to trust experts. I don't know everything there is to know about being on the school board, but there are people who are experts in education, and I think it is up to the board to sort of create a vision and let the experts, the teachers, the administrators, kind of go about and putting that vision into place.
Thank you, Rick. Rick Ale, how do you, define what it means to be a servant leader, and how do you model that for others?
Well, I think we all should be on this earth to serve others. I try every day to help other people in any way I possibly can without greed. I think that we need to learn from that. You always put your best foot forward. Always do your best. Always kind, caring for other people without anything in return. I think people see that. I think working with this community, working with the teachers, working with the administration, I think that's exactly what this board does. It serves the community. It serves the district.
Mike Pierce, servant leadership, and how do you model it for others?
Well, I think to be a servant, you just want to more serve others than you'd want to serve yourself. And I think a lot of times, when people, get real emotional about things, it's just that they really have a lot of passion for it. And I think sometimes people take that the wrong way, that, their passion is, they're angry or whatever, but they're just very passionate, and everybody, but you just got to kind of lay that out there and just hope other people will see what's to do right. And I just think it's I just think the board as a whole, I think they all are on the school board to be servants. I don't believe they have selfish ambitions. I just believe they're there to serve the community.
And Harvey.
I think I go back to example of my experience in scouting, in that you're there for the experience of the youth that you're serving, not for your glory or gain or recognition. And I think it's true on any, whether it's a school board or any other place that you're going to render service. You're not looking to get your name in the paper. You're just looking to help in any way you can. And one of the things I currently do is I'm a docent at the Milton House, and I just love it. I love the groups that come through and be able to tell them about the history of the Milton House, and it's not for for my benefit to show how knowledgeable I am. It's just to make sure that their experience is as good as it can be, and I think that's what being a servant leader is. And if you're doing that, it automatically is modeled to other people.
All right, closing statements. Guys are getting good. All right, Mike, 2 minutes.
Well, my history of school board and our family has gone way back. Between my grandfather, my dad, myself, I think we're on the school board for 73 years. And I know we're out to the mall about 20 years ago after I got on the school board, and there was a couple of busloads of Janesville kids. They dropped them off, must have been first graders or whatever, and held the door for them. And I told my wife afterwards, there's 100 reasons why I'd run for school board right there. I love the kids, and I just always wanted to give back to the community, and so I just got back on the school board because I just saw there was some turmoil up there, and as Betsy got off, I just thought it would be time to get back on and serve again. So I would support. I appreciate your support, and I just believe it's a good way to give back to your community.
Harvey, your 2-minute closing statement.
Well, I think this is kind of an exciting time to actually be running for school board. I think we have, as I mentioned before, a quality referendum that I hope will pass. That's exciting. As I mentioned before, looking towards the future of what education may be. And to me, education has always been extremely important. I think not just giving the kids an education, but if we can instill a sense of curiosity about the world around them and encourage them to become lifetime learners, I think that's the best gift we can give to our kids. My wife and I still take courses at UW. We just love learning. I've loved working with kids most of my life. And as I mentioned, education is extremely important to me. I think this is an exciting time to be involved. I'm retired, so I have plenty of time, and I'd really like to give back to the community other than just, being a docent at the Milton House. I'd really like to work in furthering education here in Milton.
Thank you, Harvey. Rick.
Well, thanks everyone for coming out tonight. Thanks for your interest in the election. Thanks to Mike, Harvey, and Rick. Thanks to Danny and the Chamber for hosting. Stan, another great job as always. I hope you've learned a little bit about me tonight. If you haven't, I'm going to be hosting some listening sessions at the library in the coming weeks. Those dates and times will be on my Facebook page later tonight. If those times don't work, get in touch with me and I'll meet with you personally. Please vote yes on April 2nd. We need this referendum, and I think it's a good referendum. If you're still unsure about the referendum, I think it's March 20th at the middle school. They're having another open house. So thanks again for coming, and thanks for your support.
Thank you, Rick. And Rick, I guess you wrap it up.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Milton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'd love to say that I have children in this district. I have a vested interest in the community. It is about the children, not just about my children, but all of your children, grandchildren. I think My wife is the president of the Milton Middle School Parents Group. I volunteer an awful lot with her. We've installed drinking fountains and locker systems and rec nights, and anybody would like to sign up, you can see her in the back. Love to have you. We can always use the help. If the referendum passes, I want to be on the school board so I can help. There's a lot of pieces yet. There's drawings that are not completed. There's ideas that have not been thought of. There's also ideas that have not really been considered. So once the referendum, and if it does pass, we need to figure out where that money is best used to stretch the dollar the best way we can. And I think there's just a lot to do if it does pass. If it doesn't pass, we need to figure out what our steps are moving forward. And I think the board needs to work together to figure out what that is. I don't have the answers. I never claim to have the answers. I am just one spoke in the wheel. However, I think I can help roll things along in a positive way.
All right, let's thank our candidates. We will take a few minutes and reshuffle the cards. We're going to start dealing. Deal or no deal? All right, welcome to the Milton Area Chamber of Commerce Mayoral Candidates Forum. We'll draw cards to see who begins with opening remarks. All right, Anissa Welch, your 2 minutes.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight and for staying for what is your third round of candidates speaking on behalf of your community. I have been the mayor for 2 terms, and I was on the city council for 2 previous terms before being elected mayor. I have 3 kids that all went through the Milton School District very successfully. My oldest daughter is a nurse, my middle son is a school teacher, and my youngest son is a Marine waiting to deploy in a few weeks. It has been such a humbling experience and an honor to serve as your mayor. I am so proud of this community, and all of you have many things to be very proud of too. We are probably in the best position that we have been in as a community in a very long time, in spite of the challenges that we have. And all communities have their challenges. When people ask me what's going on in Milton, I always have something positive to say, regardless of what they're asking about, because I have so much faith in this community and its residents. And you have proven time and time again that we can always come together, we can find common ground, and we can solve problems, even if it might take a little bit of time. Thank you for coming out again. Thank you for the chamber. I would love to have a 3rd term and continue to build the very strong community we are all privileged to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Anissa. Lauren, your 2-minute opening comment.
Well, good evening, and thank you for allowing me to have this time tonight to address your questions. And I appreciate that everybody also stuck around after the 3rd round here. I have been a member of this community twice now. I spent a short time down in the town of Beloit where I served as the fire chief there. But the remainder of my life has been the city of Milton. I returned here to become the part-time fire chief. I have a very strong tie to this community and a very strong tie to the emergency services. I have been in public safety for just short of 40 years. And I believe that my experience with the various boards and communities allows me to make better contacts and to be a member to give people a different outlook on how this all goes. I believe that the city of Milton is in good shape. I don't question that at all. I think there's some things that are out there for improvement that need to be done. And I hope that you give me the opportunity to have that chance to make those changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Daniel, your 2-minute opening statement.
I'm Dan Loughborough. I've lived here my whole life. I've been graduate of 06 of Milton. I've seen what has happened in a lot of communities since I work over there at Schweitzer Distributing. I've seen what happens in other communities, and I've seen what we don't do, and I'd like to change that. I see we got a lot of land. I see we need fire help, all that stuff. But I just want to make a difference, and I want to help grow, make this community better.
Thank you, Daniel. We get to draw cards again. All right, Daniel, you get to begin. First question. What are the 3 top issues or challenges facing the city and your ideas to address them?
First one, I see the fire station. I see that Janesville has 2 on the north side. I don't believe they need another one, even to split it with us. When I'm out on my route, I see different little towns. They have their own fire station. Milton's a big enough fire station that they need their own. I see a lot of land over there that can be developed for our own, building a new one. Second of all, I think working as a team on the city board, we can help with the high school and passing that. And third of all, I see a problem with, we didn't need it, but it was a convenience for us to have a fast food restaurant or something other than going and getting something to eat, whether it be quick or not. But I see that there is nothing for us to do.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Anissa, what are the top 3 issues or challenges facing the city and your ideas for addressing them?
Sure. One of the things that is facing every single municipality throughout the state of Wisconsin, virtually all of them, is how do we continue to provide our services to our community and stay within revenue limits and expenditure restraints, and keeping the city at a fair and reasonable tax rate. And that's always going to be a challenge for us. It's a challenge every year when we do the budget. I agree that, and I think it's unanimous, that we need a new fire station. And we have worked on implementing the RW consulting recommendations. We have paramedic service. We have made improvements in our operational guidelines, and we have established and strengthened our relationship and shared services with other communities. The third thing is to attract and retain quality employees, and that's going to continue to be a challenge because, as you know, millennials are not always coming back and staying in the city of Milton after they leave. We have great employees right now. I'm very proud of them, but there are many that are going to retire. So one of our challenges is going to be to continue to provide city services and attract employees.
Thank you, Anissa. Lauren, your top 3 issues or challenges facing the city and your ideas for addressing them.
Well, number 1 is the finances. State aid is a real restrictive item in the budget. Our staff has done a great job of holding the tax rate down, and this year I attended the year in review, and it was an outstanding job that they did to hold the money to what it was. That certainly is going to be an issue, as it is for any community in the state of Wisconsin. Number 2 is our services in general. If we continue to grow as we have now, we need to make sure that we are able to give services to those new residents and new businesses. I believe that we need to do some planning and look at the long-term needs that are going to be needed for supplying those services. And the third thing is the workforce. I agree, is that we certainly have a good group of people that work here now, but as they retire, we're going to have a challenge of getting replacements, good quality replacements in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Draw a card. All right, Daniel. So Daniel, share your position on the issue of growth in the city. What's your rationale for the position? And if you are an advocate for growth, specifically what type of growth? Again, your position on the issue of growth, your rationale for those views, and if you are an advocate for growth, what type of growth?
All right, like I said, when I'm out on my route, I see a bunch of communities that have different events. For instance, I'll take Jefferson. They have the Give Me the Kite Festival. It brings in hundreds of people. I wouldn't mind seeing something, us as a community, do something like that. I know we already have a couple things. Our 4th of July parade is outstanding. And with that growth, and we can bring people in, when we have a festival, they can see what our city is all about. Maybe they want to move here. It just, something like that is really big, I think, for us.
Thank you, Daniel. Anissa, your position on the issue of growth in the city, what's your rationale? And if you're an advocate, specifically what type of growth?
I am an advocate for growth in the city. It's essential. After General Motors closed, our region as a whole suffered, and it took a long time for us to come back. Smaller communities tend to come back a little bit slower than the larger ones, but Milton is growing. So I'm in support of it. It has to be diversified, commercial, community growth, industrial, residential, and it has to be done in a responsible way, a sustainable way, and a way that reflects the values of this community. Time and time again, we will hear, we don't want to lose the small town values that we have in the city of Milton. And I completely agree. So it's finding that balance of attracting growth and keeping our small town values, keeping it a walkable community, keeping it a community that people want to move here, they want to raise their families here, and they want to retire here. It's going to be a challenge. There's always a tipping point. We are growing at a pretty good rate, and I agree we need to grow when we can grow because it's not always going to be this way. But we just have to be mindful. Our other candidates talked about services need to be provided, safety services, public works services, city services here. So it's always being mindful of responsible growth, but continued growth.
Thank you, Anissa. Finally, Lauren, your position on the issue of growth, your rationale, are you an advocate, and for what type?
Well, absolutely, we need growth. Costs do not go down, and growth helps with being able to raise the tax money necessary to provide the services. What we need to do is make sure that we do the growth in a logical manner, balancing both the commercial growth and the residential growth. The growth in the industrial park is great, but it's in a TIF district, which does not give us immediate payback. It does in the long run, but it's something that we need to temper with the residential growth being the primary tax base that we're going to be receiving in the short term. So I believe that we certainly need to look at not only what we have in additional businesses and residential areas, but we also need to make sure that we're supporting the current businesses and making sure that our downtowns are supported also. We're a unique community with two different downtowns, and we need to make sure that we support those business owners to continue having them in our downtown areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. All right, we're going to have a new question, so we need to have a new Anissa. Should the Common Council and the mayor support the school district referendum? Why or why not? Again, should the council and the mayor support the school district referendum? Why or why not?
I will not dare to speak for the council. They are an intelligent body. They do their research and they form their opinions based on the research that they do. I believe that our school district is very valuable. It's our largest employer. It is a draw for businesses to come here, and it's a draw for people to come and live here. I don't think there is any question that we need a referendum, and I don't really think there's a question anymore that our facilities need to be updated. I believe that this referendum covers that. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think everybody is necessarily going to vote for this referendum, and I cannot speak for the entire city of Milton, but I can speak for myself and say that we do have to address the facilities issues, and I think this referendum does that.
All right, Lauren, should the Common Council and the mayor support the school district referendum? Why or why not?
Well, I agree that I can't speak for the council and shouldn't speak for the council members. My opinion is that we do need to have the referendum. I don't believe that as a group we should either endorse any project by another group. I think that that's something that should be left up to the Chamber of Commerce and to the various organizations that are involved in the projects. So although I support what the school board is trying to do, I just don't think it's the politics of the city council should be entered into it.
Thank you, Lauren. Daniel, support for the school district referendum as a common council and or mayor, why or why not?
I absolutely think that we should be supportive of it. The school does lie in the city limits. If we can get a new school and we can attract more people, this community will grow bigger. And I think that's big. To have a bigger community is just property value, I believe, will go up. So I do believe that we should or support it.
All right, thank you much, Daniel. I like how bold you are. Just put it out. No hesitation at all. It's not working for you. All right, Anissa. In regard to recent news stories, didn't I already ask this? In regard to recent news stories, those visiting Milton, friends, acquaintances, those considering Milton as a place to live or locate their business may ask, what's going on in Milton? As an elected representative of this city, how would you answer the question?
I think there's a lot of fabulous stuff going on in Milton, and I do answer this question, and it's part of being mayor is to be a good ambassador for your city. And one of the challenges that municipalities have that I've talked about before is growth and attracting new business and diversifying that growth, and we're doing that in the city of Milton. And we have SSI here. We have Charter NEX expansion. We have Diamond Assets. We have UW Whitewater and Midwest Tennis partnering to build an indoor tennis facility in the city of Milton. We have a community that is committed to the infrastructure. We have a sustained funding source for our roads. And we also have a community that is committed to growing their community and supporting it. And a lot of times we think about cities and we think about council or we think about mayor and we think about city staff and employees. What we don't talk about is the actual committees that do a lot of the work that help support our entire community. We have historic preservation, parks and rec. We We have Community Development Authority. We have our ad hoc committee that we just throw whatever's left over for them to solve. And they come and they volunteer their time and they bring a different perspective. It helps keep the city council in check, it helps keep our staff in check, and it builds a strong team for this entire community. And that is what's great about the city of Milton, is we have people that care. We do not have to agree, and nor should we agree all the time, but we have a community that cares and demonstrates that time and time again, and that's why I think we have great growth and a great community.
Thank you, Anissa. Lauren, in regard to the recent news stories, those visiting Milton, friends, acquaintances, those considering Milton as a place to live or locate their business may ask, what's going on in Milton? As an elected representative of the city, how would you answer that question?
Well, I think I'd talk about the growth of the city. I think that there's great opportunities here available for not only the commercial but residential growth. I believe that the assets that we have in our personnel that work for the city are a great attractant. I know that I've heard from people that have talked to Administrator Hulick that they're so pleased with how things go with that, and I've heard about the number of good experiences people have had with businesses associated here in the city. And I think that we need to promote that even more. I think the Chamber does a good job of promoting a vast amount of it, but I believe that there's more that can be done to show other people what we have available here.
Thank you, Lauren and Daniel. What's going on in Milton?
First of all, if someone were to ask what's going on in Milton, I'd say, like I said earlier, we have a great, one of the best 4th of July parades in, I don't know how far distance away. Edgerton doesn't have one, Fort doesn't have one. We have a great 4th of July festival. And then you look at, we got Wally Fest now, and the 4th of July up at the park, at Showbrook Park. We got a lot going on. Business aspect, I would say we are a growing community. We want you to be a part of this community, and we want to bring your business to Milton, because growth, we can all agree, growth is huge.
All right, we're going to delve into a few of the questions from the audience, including this. Oh, yeah. There you go, Lauren. You win for getting first. But no, Daniel. All right, so, Daniel, define your vision of the role of mayor in the city of Milton, including whether or not it's a necessary position. Define your vision of the role of mayor in a city like Milton, including whether or not it's a necessary position.
To define it, I believe it's to be a leader, and not just of the city council itself, but as a community. I believe that a mayor should go out in the community, and if people have questions, he or she can answer it. What was the second part of your question?
In a city like Milton, is it even needed?
Yes, I do believe it's needed. Like I said, the mayor is very helpful to the city council. So I believe, yes, it is necessary to have one.
Thank you, Daniel. Anissa, 2 terms aside, is it a necessary position? And if so, define your vision of the role of mayor in a city like Milton.
I agree it's a necessary position. And I have worked hard to be a very good mayor for the citizens of Milton the past 2 years. I believe that the mayor's role is multifaceted. We have a city administrator that does the day-to-day operational duties of our community, and he does a really good job, and that is his role. And it's also dealing with employee issues, economic development, and the mayor is a partner. For me, I believe I'm a partner to the city administrator, to the police chief, to the fire chief, to all of our department heads, and I'm also an advocate for our employees. It's important that we remember that we have a great staff here and we need to take care of them as well as taking care of our residents in our community. Also, I'm an advocate and your strongest cheerleader wherever I go. I am always the mayor. I am always representing the very best of this community and what this community has to offer. I was very honored to be chosen to be part of the board of directors for the League of Municipalities, which is a very strong advocacy and lobbying organization for municipalities across the state of Wisconsin. And I can represent small towns and their needs to our legislators in the state of Wisconsin. I also think that the mayor is the compass. So the mayor sets the direction and leads the staff and the community on how to navigate towards that direction. And I think that the mayor also helps bring people back on course and keeps the focus on common ground and solving problems. We have to decide together what kind of community we want to live in, and a good mayor listens to the community and leads accordingly.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm sorry, Anissa. Lauren, define your vision of the role of mayor in the city like Milton, including whether or not it's a necessary position.
Well, I definitely believe it's a necessary position. And it's a position of support for the staff that are here at the City Hall. I believe that they are an advocate for the businesses and the citizens of the city, that they can always come to the mayor to talk about issues that are going on, to have items relayed then to the city council. And I believe that the direction that we all are going needs to be coordinated by the mayor. The city staff develops the policies. The council creates the desire to have a policy, but we have to identify what those things are that we need to work towards, and I believe that's what the mayor's job is. I believe that the mayor is also the liaison between other governments, locally and at the state level, and needs to be the one that is in contact with our legislatures over issues that affect the city of Milton and the community in general. Thank you.
A couple more questions from the audience, so draw a card. You look so disappointed. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Daniel, is that a heart?
He has a heart.
Okay.
Everybody has a heart.
Oh. You don't know everybody that well. All right, fine. Just for that, you get to go first. And this is just going to be a 1-minute answer. The possibility of transportation to and from Janesville, again, I would assume it's public transit, bus service, or whatever your thoughts are on that, if there's a possibility again.
To be honest with you, this has never really been brought up, so I don't know if I can answer this like 100%, so I cannot answer this actually, so I will pass on this.
All right. Anissa, the possibility of transportation to and from Janesville, again, I'm assuming they intended public transit.
And I want to thank you for your candor and your honesty, and we don't know everything there is to know about the city, and that's sometimes an advantage of being an elected official for several years. So we've tried different ideas, and we've researched this, and other mayors have talked about this too, and at one point we did a partnership with Whitewater and some of the businesses in Whitewater and the city of Milton and the city of Janesville, and it didn't work out. It was worth a try, and it was worth the investment, but what ended up happening is the municipalities found that it wasn't affordable or sustainable. I know that we have reached out to the city of Edgerton to try and see if there's any types of partnerships we could have with Edgerton, And it's certainly, public transportation is an important part, especially for any elderly or disabled. So I know that our city staff is open, as well as the council and myself, to exploring ways that maybe we could provide that.
All right, Lauren, possibility of transportation to and from Janesville again.
Well, obviously, the previous times didn't work out just because of the finances. It was not used very much, and so they couldn't support doing it. We do have a bus service that runs back and forth to Janesville every day, and that's through Blackhawk Tech. And that may be one of the things that we can research to see if there is an agreement that can be worked out with them.
All right, this is a bit of a philosophical question. I tried to interpret what the writer was intending. And what? Oh, draw your cards. Well, I guess we'll go, who did we go with first last time? Oh, the man with a heart. All right, Anissa, you're first this time. It's a question about taxes and school district taxes and their impact on the city. And I think the way I'm going to phrase the question is, do you think the perceived impact of school district taxes on the city is helpful or hurtful? The original questioner wanted to know, how do school district taxes impact the city overall tax rate? And technically, directly, they do and they don't. Okay, so it's more of a perceived impact, and I'm sure they're dealing with the fact referendum passes, folks in the city are going to hit with an addition on their tax bill, although it's also for the entire district. So what do you think the perceived impact of school district taxes is on the city, helpful or hurtful?
Taxes is always just one of those subject areas that seems to be, it comes with negativity. Even though we know that taxes are what sustain all levels of government. So could there be a perception if the school referendum passes, like, oh my gosh, like our taxes are going to be so high now? But the thing of it is, it's important for all of us to maintain that social contract. And part of that social contract is we all agree that we're going to pool our money together in the form of taxes, and we're going to provide services, and that includes educational services. I think it's important for elected officials and residents of our community and our school district to talk about what are the services we're actually receiving and what are the benefits of all of us investing in our school district and in our community.
All right, Lauren, do you think the perceived impact of school district taxes on the city helpful or hurtful?
Well, certainly anytime the taxes go up, there are implications of bad things happening. I think that what has to happen is that we need to show people and educate people into what their services are and what they're getting, that they're getting value for their dollar. I think that's something that the school board is trying to do right now with the open houses to educate the public. And I believe that if and when that referendum goes through, that we will need to do education on our part so that we can continue to provide those services.
All right, and Daniel, perception impact school districts on the city, helpful or hurtful?
Real quick before I answer that, when I said that I was going to run for mayor, I had a bunch of people come up to me that I know, and they said, my taxes went up, and why did they go up? And then I sat in here and I saw that we, as Milton, have the lowest tax rate in Rock County. But what I don't understand is why did our tax go up so high? But what I think it would be helpful if they're going to the right place, if the money's going to the right place and helping out where we need it to help out. So I do believe that it is helpful.
All right, now, Lauren, this is going to be your last chance to get the high card, because so far you have not. And I may be going to Vegas with Larry. Well, I would like to gamble with you. All right, who's got the high card? Anissa. All right. Closing statements, 2 minutes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, again, the chamber, and for being involved. You're here because you care about this community and you want to be involved and you want to make informed decisions. And I love that about this community. I love how we show up for each other. The city has challenges. We want to have sustainable, responsible growth. And I am so proud to be your mayor and to have been able to participate in the last several years as being an elected official on your behalf. I love the collaboration that we have throughout our community, whether it's through the chamber, projects we do with the school district, historic preservation. The city always welcomes partnerships and ways that we can leverage our advantages to help everybody. One of the exciting things that you may have heard about or maybe not is a new program that we started to help homeowners that want to do some simple repairs to their home, where the city will offer a matching grant to help our individual homeowners like we help our small businesses. We have lots of positive things going on. We're a trail community, playful city, tree city, library of the year, lowest taxing rate. I could go on and on. We have people that are interested in our community, and it's because of all the partnerships we have with everybody in the community and the surrounding area. I'm asking for your vote and another term on April 2nd. Please get the word out to encourage everybody so we have very high voter turnout, which we have had in the past few elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Anissa. Lauren, your 2-minute closing statement.
Well, I too want to thank the chamber and everybody that showed up here tonight. It's fantastic to see a turnout like this for a important issue meeting. I'm very proud to be running for the office of mayor. I believe that my experiences with public safety and with working with other municipalities will be a heads up for working with the collaborations of other communities to continue to grow our city and make sure that we support the current businesses that are here now. And I thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you, Lauren. Daniel, you get the last word.
Thanks again, everyone, for coming. I know it does run later, being the third one, and I thank you all for sticking around. I just want to say that I love the city. I grew up here, like I said, and I don't plan on leaving. I could go other places and work, but my heart still belongs in Milton. I just want to say good luck to the other two up here. And if I'm elected, I want to bring businesses to Milton. I want to bring more people to Milton. I want to make Milton a bigger school district, all that sort. So I am asking for your vote on April 2nd, and that would be all.
Thank you, Daniel. Your Milton Mayoral Candidates.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and supporting. I think that everyone, we have one thing in common, it's that we have this community in our heart. So that shows by this room being filled every year. This room gets more and more filled with this forum. So thank you for taking time out of your night. It's very important that you are educated and you get out to vote on April 2nd. So drive safely and have a great night.